Hello guys, welcome to Studyiq. I'm Safir. In this session, we're going to discuss the reforms in education during British time. So very important topic, reforms in education during British time. Now guys, they can ask you prelims questions, they can ask you mains question, and they can also ask you essay related to education. So if you see 2017 essay directly was like your future is shaped in the classrooms. Any questions related to education, any essay related to education, if you need to answer, the skeleton should be something like this. There are certain milestones, and the most important milestones are actually coming during British time, because we are talking about modern education. We are not talking about traditional education. So when it comes to modern education, it is coming along with British, right? Modern India, same way. When we talk about modern education, it is coming along with the British. So there are certain milestones, and you cannot afford to miss the milestones. And what are they? If you look into, the first one is in 1813 Charter Act. There is something related to education, and that we need to mention. That is the first step that they have taken towards the development or the improvement of education in India, right? And then there is something which is very significant is actually happening in 1835. That's what macula minute. We will be discussing that. And then in 1837, which is again considered very important because Persian was replaced with English as the official language, right? So that is again something which is very important. In fact, it is one of the reasons for Muslim participation in 1857 revolt also, because when the Persian was replaced with English as the official language, most of the important positions till then was controlled. The judges and the administrations and everything was controlled by the Muslims when it was Persian. But now Muslims lost all those important positions. So they thought that if this old system can be replaced, then they will get back to their positions and everything. So that is the reason why you can see huge level of participation of Muslims in the 1857 revolt. I'll come to this, but all these are milestones, and the most important, the most significant one among all these is 1854 Wood's Dispatch, which is known as Magna Carta of modern Indian education. Guys, I'll spend a lot of time on this. I'll discuss this. And then again, 1882, Hundar Commission, and like that it will go. So my point here is, just don't think this as your modern India topic. Just don't consider this as your prelims topic. Okay, so this is very important, not only for prelims, for your mains and for your interview also. If you're writing, in GS history, they can ask you question like reforms in education during British time. Otherwise also, if they're asking you any general question on education, essay, if you need to fill that pages, you start from here, and you already got around 4-5 paragraphs. And each of these have certain limitations, and that limitations have overcome. Like 13, there are some mistakes. A macula minute, there are some issue that they will try to overcome in 1854. And then there are some issues in that they will try to overcome in 1882. And from 1882, things will go smooth. And we are now also following the same system. So how education have shaped up, how it has been developed over a period of time, or how the system has evolved over a period of time. This is going to be very important for you to understand and to give you a good perspective when you're writing the answer. So that's exactly what we are going to do. I'm not taking this simply as a history topic, though I'll discuss from that side only, but this is something which is going to give you a lot of knowledge with perspective. So let's start with the first one, 1813 Charter Act. Guys, I'm not discussing the Charter Act here. The key provisions in that, even I have discussed it before, like there was end of monopoly, except in 2 items, trade in tea product and trade with China, and all those things is there. And then Christian missionaries were allowed to practice or preach in India. All those things were connected with 1813 Charter Act. These are significant points. And which one is related to education? They are started doing something for promoting English education, right? And the company was directed to spend ₹1 lakh for the purpose of betterment of education or development of education in India in those areas where they have control. So the first point which is related to education that I want to discuss, when I talk about the evolution of modern education or the development of modern education, it starts from 1813 Charter Act. So this is the first attempt to do certain things related to education from the British side. The company was directed to spend ₹1 lakh for the purpose of betterment of education in those areas where they have control. And they don't have control over complete India. These points we have discussed many times. So there are princely states, and they have control in the presidencies like Madras, Bombay, right? Bengal, like that. So that's the area they were allowed to, look after, and that's where you need to spend around 1 lakh for the purpose of betterment of education in India. Now, if you look into the next one, that is coming in 1835, that is Maculum Minute, which is the most important one, the most significant one. So, guys, there was a debate which is going on during this time. The debate is like, what kind of education to be given to Indians, whether it is English model or Indian model, whether it is in English medium or in a vernacular language or a classical language, like that. So there are different sections, right? So one section is talking about like the Anglicist. They are of the opinion that you should be giving English education, English model, and in English medium. So they are talking about English model, English medium, right? And the other sections are like they would prefer the Eastern model or the Indian model. And even within that also, there is a division that Indian model, if you are adopting, one group is going with vernacular language, like the local language, like if you're a Keralite, Malayalam, Tamilian, then it is Tamil, then Telugu, Kannada, like that. That is a vernacular language. And the other section is talking about the classical language. So obviously, finally, Anglicists won the debate, and they have decided to give education in English model and in English medium. Now, who's Macaulay? Lord Macaulay, if you remember, we discussed about 1813 Charter Act. 1813 Charter Act, I've told you that in the Pitt's India Act, the council, the Governor General's Executive Council was Governor General plus 4 member was reduced to 3 in the Pitt's India Act. Now this 3 become 4 once again, and the newly added member was a law member, right? And the first law member was Lord Macaulay. So this Macaulay Minute is also associated with that. And finally, Anglicists won the debate, and what they're going to do, they're going to give English education, English model, English medium to the Indians. But the problem is not to all Indians. Hardly they are going to give some minority of Indians. When I say minority, some sections of Indians, like hardly 1% of Indians are going to get higher education. This is the plan for higher education, not the primary, not the secondary. This is for higher education, English model, English medium, and not for all, just for maybe 1%, a minority of sections, a minority will be getting this better, good education. What is the assumption? Assumption here is that trickle down will happen. So this is what the trickle down approach or the downward filtration theory. You throw something to top, you educate these 1%, and it will come down. It will percolate down. You educate this 1%, and these 1% of the Indians who got education in English model and in English medium will teach rest of the others in the local language. And so that trickle down will happen, everybody will be benefited. So this was the assumption, and this is what you call as trickle down approach or downward filtration theory. But was that a successful one? No, it was not. Why? Because this trickle down never happened. This 1% of Indians who got English education and an English model, they in fact become more English than English themselves. Their dress style have changed, their food habits have changed, and they started imitating, everything what the English will do. Even they started speaking the local language, also their own local language, in a wrong accent like the Britishers do. So they are not at all connected with the local Indians now after they're getting education, and they're not willing to teach as well. So this never happened. So that is the main reason why it was a failure. Now guys, if you ask me why it was a failure, trickle down never happened. Why? Because government did not took up the responsibility to give education to masses. So here the main problem is, it is not the responsibility of the government. Government is going to give only 1% of masses. And the assumption is trickle down will happen. If the government would have taken the responsibility, this would not have been the situation. So the responsibility was given to this 1%. That's why it is a failure. So the reason for failure is government did not took up the responsibility of giving education to masses. So what they will do in the next reform? government will take up the responsibility, and education for masses. That is good. That is what we're going to discuss in the next one. So I hope you can see every reform, there will be some drawback, and the next reform will be looking to solve that problem. Okay, so here the issue is trickle down never happened. Government did not took up the responsibility of giving education to masses. It has been left to that 1% or that minority who's going to get education in English model and in English medium, and that never happened. Okay, so that's about macular minute, and because of macular minute, and after this, you will see a good section of middle class will be created, and then they will be continuing. Then further later, universities are coming, and then nationalism is coming. All these are connected with this anyway. Okay, now the next one is a small point, that is in 1837, Persian was replaced with English as the official language. So as I've told you just before, what happened? If it was Persian, like Mughal tradition onwards, the Muslims used to control the most important positions, like the judges and all. But now, once it is replaced with English as the official language, then what happened? Muslims are not good in English. So they lost all these important positions, right? So this is also significantly affected the Muslims. And that's the reason why, if you see 1857 revolt, one of the most important reasons why Muslims have contributed a lot and participated a lot, you can see a lot of Muslims, all these Maulvis and Maulanas, Maulvi Ahmadullah, Maulvi Pir Ali, a lot of Wahhabi leaders, right, have participated in the revolt. And in fact, their contribution was much more organized than the revolt, the other sections, if you see, especially Wahhabis. Okay, so 1857 revolt, one of the reasons was actually this one, because they want to replace the old system. Once it is replaced, they will get all their privileges back. Okay, now next is 1854, the most important among all, that is Wood's Dispatch. Guys, who's Charles Wood? What is Wood's Dispatch is all about? If you remember 1857, before that, when I discuss about 1857, after that, a Better Government Act will be passed. And in that, I'm talking about Indian Council Act, and Indian Council Office was established, right, with the first Secretary of State, who's going to be Charles Wood. Now, before that, if you remember, 1784, when you discuss about Pitt's India Act, I've talked about a board of control, which was established in England to look after the affairs of East India Company in India with 6 members. And the last president of Board of Control became the first Secretary of State. Who was the last president of Board of Control? Mr. Charles Wood. He became the first Secretary of State when that post was created. So the last president of Board of Control, Charles Wood, have written a letter to the then Governor General. Who was that? Lord Dalhousie. Who was the previous one during Macular Minute? Lord William Bentinck, right? So who was in 1813? Lord Minto during Charter Act time. Okay, like that. You need to remember these names as well. So here, Charles would have written a letter to the Governor General suggesting certain reforms in education. And that's what Wood's Dispatch. What are the reforms? That's what we need to see now. The first and the most important problem, what you have faced in Macular Minute, the state, the government did not take up the responsibility of giving education to masses. Now the government will take up the responsibility of giving education to masses. So here the concept is based on mass education, not educating a minority, not educating a section of population. Okay, so here mass education or education to masses is the responsibility of state. And that's why many scholars call it as Magna Carta of modern Indian education. Why it is called as Magna Carta of modern Indian education? Because of this provision, mass education for the first time. Magna Carta of modern Indian education. What is Magna Carta? Magna Carta is a famous order which was issued by an English king, I don't remember his name, way back in 1215, giving certain rights to the public. Okay, so that's the first point. Now, second one, if you see, secondary education should be given importance. Guys, if you see the previous one, higher education. Now, if you see secondary education, even now they are not touching the primary education. Instead, what you should have been doing, start with primary, then to secondary, then to tertiary, higher education. So instead of going from bottom to top, they're coming from top to bottom. So here, if you see, what is the problem with this Macular Minute, this Wood's Dispatch? This is the problem now, because even now you are not with primary, and where it will be corrected, in the next, it will be corrected. You're getting me? Whatever drawback is there in the previous one will be corrected in the next. So that is how it is easy for you to remember. That is how it is easy for you to understand the evolution. And that's how I told you that you will get that perspective, how it has been shaped. Right. So these are the 2 points. And the third one, these are very simple. Technological colleges need to be set up. And you can see after that, I think in 1854, Pusa Institute of Agricultural Science was established, originally in Bihar, but in 1934, there was an earthquake and then it was shifted to Delhi. Same way, the first engineering college was set up in Roorkee, and during Vajpayee time, it was converted to, it was given a status of IIT, the first engineering college which was set up in Roorkee. Okay, so that is related to this. And then universities to be set up. Guys, till then, there was no such concept of, graduation or degree or universities like BA, BCom, etc. that you get, right? Now, I'm not talking about Nalanda, Takshashila, the traditional universities. I'm talking about modern universities, the degree, graduation that is what I'm talking about. So universities to be established, and you will see in 1857, 3 universities in 3 presidencies, Bengal, Madras, and Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay. Okay, so 3 universities were established. And then later, after Hundar Commission time, that 1915 to 1922 is the era of university, golden era of universities. You'll see a lot of universities: Aligarh University, Jamia Millia University, Osmania University, Dhaka University, Patna University, a lot of Banaras Hindu University. All these will be coming during that time. Okay, so now next one is, it is not only the students who need to be taught. The teachers also need to be trained how they should teach the students. So the teachers training program also started. This is the beginning of this B.Ed program and everything. Okay, so guys, I hope this is very clear. Mass education, that means government have taken the responsibility to give education to masses, and then the secondary education should be given importance. This is one of the drawback of this, because instead of giving importance to primary, even now also you're focusing on secondary. You're not coming to primary. And if you look into the third one, technological colleges to be established, and you can see first engineering college at Roorkee, and then Pusa Institute of Agricultural Science in Bihar, but now Delhi. Universities to be established, and then the teachers training program. Now, when I talk about Hundar Commission, now you know what will be the first point. That's the beauty if you understand in this way. Now, even before I talk about Woods Dispatch, you know what is going to be the priority in this, right? Macular minute, what was the drawback? State did not took up the responsibility of giving education to masses. Now that has been solved. Now here, what is the drawback? Secondary education is given importance, not the primary. So now what will be, what you are looking for in the next one? It is a primary education that they are going to give importance. Okay, so 1882 Hundar Commission report or Hundar Commission related to education. So during which Governor General? Lord Ripon time. Okay, and Sir William Hundar. Okay, so Hundar Commission by Lord Ripon's time. Guys, I'll just talk about this because my pen, the charge got over. So I'll just talk and just understand, and if you want, you can take it down. The most important points. Obviously, the first one, they're going to focus on primary education. So the primary education should be given importance. You have seen that in Macular minute, it is higher education. And in the Woods Dispatch, it is going to be the secondary education. Now they are coming to the root, going from primary. Okay, so what they have done is, now it is corrected, everything is corrected. Now they're focusing on primary as well. The first and the most important point is primary education to be given importance. Now, guys, I'm just writing by using this pen. It's not like paper and pen. So don't bother about the handwriting. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? That's it. This is just complimentary. Take it in that way. Don't advise me that my handwriting is bad and improve your handwriting and all those things. Okay, I just don't want to see that, because I've seen so many comments and understand what you're doing and what I'm using, where I'm writing. If it is not in a paper and a pen. Okay, so just don't come and advise me as a teacher, you have to improve your handwriting. No, if you are able to understand English, you can understand what I'm speaking, right? If you cannot understand what I'm speaking, obviously you can understand what I'm writing. So just don't worry about writing. Just listen to what I'm speaking. And if you want to take it down, you can take it down from here itself. So the first point is done. Second one, grants and aid. Guys, already government have made a promise that will go for mass education, and government have taken the responsibility of giving education to masses. But do you have the infrastructure to provide education to all huge population in India? No. So what you need the contribution from the private sector. Now, will they do that? Yes, they will do. They will come up with infrastructure, but instead, state will give grants in aid. Like if you satisfy certain conditions, what you will around 90-95% of your expenses and everything will be taken care by the state. But infrastructure need to be provided. So that lead to a lot of establishment of schools, and the state promise can be kept. So this concept is there even now also, this aided school and all, you know that, right? So grants in aid program started. Thirdly, if you look, more universities. Okay, so more universities, and you can see after this is a golden era of universities. Banaras Hindu University, right? Dhaka University, Patna University, Jamia Millia University, Osmania University. So you will be seeing so many universities which are coming during this period of time. Just okay, so more universities to be opened. Okay, and this 1915 to 1922, that's the era, golden era of universities. And then one more, women education should be given priority. So these are the key points which you need to remember. So I'll be stopping it here, and we will continue this discussion in the coming session as well. So I hope you enjoy the session. Guys, I just told about this handwriting because I've seen some people without any sense. I don't know whether they're attending the session or not. They're just coming and commenting that the handwriting is not good. Are you here to improve my handwriting, or are you here to listen something which is going to benefit you to crack this exam? That's what you need to think about. If you are thinking about my handwriting and bothering about my handwriting, I don't want to, do anything, right? So I'm already well set. Just think about your side and do something for yourself and your family. All right, guys, we'll stop here. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up and comment below if you have any doubts. See you guys in the next session.